trip to paradise.
Are you ready? Okay, let's do it.
Welcome to the other side of the world. Last week we were in Australia. Now we've flipped. We've flipped hemispheres and we've flipped sides of the globe. We're over here in Ohio, of all places. Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course is the location for round 5 of ATC13. It is the series' 8th separate visit to the circuit since the series' inception back at the start of 2021. Always a difficult race, not only for the difficulty of the track itself, but as you can see, there are cars starting around the final carousel here. There's not a whole lot of space to do a standing start, to do a rolling start. Typically in real life, they use a different straightaway entirely to start the race, but we don't have that option today. What we do have the option of is watching some fantastic racing from here at Mid-Ohio. It always provides some incredible racing. Nobody has won more than 2 races here in their career. So a large variety of winners throughout the circuit's history in the series. Let's take a look at who might be most likely to come away with a victory today. The starting grid for today's race: Michael Polasek puts it on pole, nearly gets into the 28 seconds. but still a sizable gap between him and second place, which is Matthew Mayer. Then you have Gonzalo Fabi, last week's pole sitter, or excuse me, I believe, I don't know if it was Sarah Leggy or Fabi, but Fabi third. Sarah Leggy had a slightly worse day qualifying wise. It was P12 for him, but in between you have McFarland, De Almeida, Hendricks, Zepka, McKenzie, Smith, and Carr. There's been a lot of turnover in the top 10 qualifying throughout this season. It's been great to see, and it's caused the start of the races to be very hectic. People's race pace not really matching their qualifying pace throughout this season. And that's something you have to get used to as a driver. So Schenk, Sarah Leggy, Lazon, and then Jason Breen, after his victory at Phillip Island Circuit, he turns around and puts it on pole, out-qualifies guys like Edward Gorman, Damon Mitchell, Connor Acatella. That is a big get for today's Delta pole sitter. And then sitting P2 is Fuad Al-Rijla, with third place going to Trenton Kramer. So the top 3 Delta class are actually a decent bit spread apart here. Be interesting to see how that plays out. Today's races, of course, you got a 20-minute and a 30-minute, so a lot of time to work their way up to the front of that field. Clavijo 23rd, Chang, Fedorowski, Saab, David Thomas, Kyle Murray, JB DeJay, and Corey Lobner round out the top 30. The rest of the grid is as follows. We got 45 cars total, and I think they may all be gridding today. So we continue to have well over 40 cars for all of our grids so far this season. And like the other races, I'm sure this one will be just as hectic as a result. We are about to head down to the front of the field where the drivers are preparing to start this race. Michael Polasek sitting on pole, doesn't have a win yet this season. This is definitely his best chance to do it, because I don't think he has a pole position yet either. So starting up front in the Veloster alongside SRG driver Matthew Mayer. And then you have Fabi, McFarlane, and Mike De Almeida. Mike De Almeida looking to put up some good team points for Yellow Flag Motorsports today, between him qualifying 5th and Polasek qualifying 1st. Should be an interesting one to keep an eye on. We are less than 10 seconds from receiving the green flag here at Mid-Ohio. 20 minutes, and then the top 12 will get inverted to start a 30-minute race. But here we go. We await the green flag. And they are away. Polasek leads them off with Mayer, Fabi, McFarlane, Mike De Almeida, Micah Hendricks sticking it in between those two as they head into turn 1. Polasek will lead them. Fabi up the inside. Micah cuts through and gets up into 4th. 2 spots off the start for him as the drivers head down to the keyhole for the first time today. Polasek already with a big lead. Fabi, oh no, Fabi's going to clip Mayer, and Mayer goes off track. And that is going to cause a bit of carnage there as he rejoins as the rest of the field goes by. Here they come down the backstretch. There's the starting point that IndyCar uses. And you have Fabi and Hendricks going side by side down to turn 4. Very easy to go off here at China Beach. They're actually reprofiling this corner in real life to make it safer. But here Fabi comes away with P2, and now Dan McFarland gets into a little bit of contact, and he goes off track there. So both SRG drivers running into trouble. Michael Polasek comes through the S's as they approach Thunder Valley. McKenzie in 4th. He's gained 4 spots off the start. Hendricks gained 3. Both those guys leapt up to the front. McFarlane down 8 spots. Mayer is down a bit further than that. We're looking at Brian Saab there. There's a couple of guys fighting behind him. Edward Gorman and Dan McFarlane going wheel to wheel through the final corner. This is the carousel, and they will navigate that okay. McFarlane back up to P11. Polasek leads this race. He's already got a 1.8 second gap over Gonzalo Fabi, who's going to hit that cone there. And this is now a 2-second gap. He wants to win this race. He's going to open that gap up as big as he can. Out of turn 1, you have Daniel Cedeno on the right side of your screen. He's got Cooper Akers going up his inside, and Matthew Mayer is going to try and make this 3 wide into the corner. But he backs out of it. He's going 2 wide with Ethan Bass. And that group makes their way out of the keyhole, heading down to turn 4. They will make it 3 wide. Mayer's going to stick the nose in. Bass stuck on the outside. Akers stuck in the middle. And into the braking zone. None of them are going to yield here. Oh, Mayer's going to give Akers a little shot. Bass gets a little sideways. Now they are 2 by 2. And I see Manuel Saralegui off track and in the wall. And he is out of this race. There go Mayer and Bass through. And Mayer does get around Bass. And now there's trouble behind. Big carnage. Anthony Harrison into the wall. Flips over. Mitchell Rickmeyer involved. Jason Lynn involved. Lynn actually trying to get the car going again. We look back to Cedeno under pressure from Mayer. This is the last car. Mayer's got to get around in this group and through the carousel. Mayer trying to hold that outside line. Looks like he's going to come away with that. And into turn 1. He has what is P25. So we look back up front. I'm looking at Connor Acatella behind Edward Gorman, ahead of James Carr. He's gained 6 spots since the start of this race. Gorman up 5, Lazan up 4. This whole group has gained a few spots based on the carnage that happened at the start of the race. And further back, Justin Rhodes maybe looking for a move on Adrian Fedorowski into turn 4. Fedorowski forcing him to go narrow, and he thinks better of it. Looks to the outside. And they continue. And behind them, I see Cedeno. No, that's Kyle Murray and Cooper Akers going at it. And Akers will stay ahead. Pulls his Elantra around turn 5. James Carr is running into some trouble. He's got damage, and now cars are going by him at a rapid pace. Mitchell, Fuad Rijla, Trenton Kramer. There's Jason Breen, last week's Delta winner, currently not the Delta leader. That is Fuad Rijla. He has gained 5 spots since the start of this race, and now Damon Mitchell trying to stay ahead of him for 13th. Kramer sends it up the inside. Battle for the Delta lead. Oh, Rijla, he gets clipped. That looked very strange. It puts him into the wall with damage. So Kramer is your new Delta leader. Jason Breen going side by side with Brian Saab into turn 1. Not able to stay alongside, but they're 3 wide behind. Mark Darnell gets collected there. And I think he just ended up being the car on the inside that got kicked sideways. David Thomas and Justin Rhodes continue. They survive the 3 wide, and Rhodes will send it up the inside of Thomas. Thomas going really wide through the keyhole. He'll get a good run off the corner as a result, though. The whole lead pack appears to have kind of strung out now. Nobody is really within striking distance at the moment. This is the closest battle on track. Rhodes trying to stay ahead of Thomas. You see JB DeJay in the background looking for a place to go. Difficult to hold it around the outside there, but if you can do it, you're in a good position, like Thomas here, and he will use that position to stay ahead. Matthew Mayer has joined the fight. He's working on DeJay. Through turn 7. Still working on him, and he's got by him. And that's a position gain for him. We look to Fleet Smith. Oh, he's hopped the curb there, going really wide through the carousel, and we were about to look in on him defending against Schink, but I think the defense is over. Schink through to P7. He's up 4 spots in this race. We look back to the leader, Michael Polasek, 3.5 seconds, and we're only 6 minutes into this race. It is absolutely his race to lose. But looking further back, we have Gonzalo Fabi. He has some rear end damage with Hendricks, McKenzie, Mike D'Almeida all running very close behind. But none of them are within striking distance in the next corner. Matthew Mayer, though, into the keyhole around the outside of Justin Rhodes. He's going to try and do the same thing Thomas did on the last lap, go a little wide, get a good exit. He's into the grass, though. And he still does have some momentum, and I think he's going to very easily clear Rhodes before they get to the corner. We look ahead to Acatella and Gorman. Through turn 5, they continue side by side. Now Acatella tucks back in behind as they head down to turn 6. That's Gorman in 10th position. And Cooper Akers and Kyle Murray are battling in the same spot. We're going to roll through turn 7 following Daniel Cedeno ahead, but Murray gets ahead. He's 8th in class, 26th overall. And now we jump back to Matthew Mayer, who's still battling with these guys, trying to stay ahead while Thomas and Rhodes battle behind for 21st. Go on board with JB DeJay. Rhodes tucks in behind. And the group continues out of the final corner. We look a little further back. I see Fuada Ridgelet letting some cars through there. That's Tyler Bramble and Lewis Gilbert battling for 13th in class. Gilbert right on the back of his fellow Audi driver. Through turn 1, Bramble's going to hold on to that for the moment. We look back up ahead. The Delta leader battling with Alpha drivers. James Carr working his way around Trenton Kramer here as they head down to turn 4. Kramer does not have a career Delta victory yet. Looking for that today. Into the braking zone for 4. Carr gets ahead. Kramer gets into the back of him a little, but no front end damage, and they continue. Evan Clavijo lurks in the background. He was leading at Phillip Island until he got commentator cursed, unfortunately. Here he follows. He's got a little bit of left front damage, but he is chasing Trenton Kramer. And then Brian Saab, Jason Breen, Adrian Fedorowski, all close behind. The entire top 5 of the Delta class, right on top of each other, on your screen, in fact. So that could get spicy as we roll into the second half of this race. 9 minutes down, 11 minutes to go. We check back in on Ethan Bass. Oh, he was looking for a move on Justin Rhodes, but it will expose him to Cedeno here. Cedeno can't take it anywhere, but that's a large group of cars going through the carousel. You'll notice it's a little bit foggy. There is rain around the track, but it's not expected to hit during either of the races today. But as a result, humidity is quite high and the fog is everywhere. Dan McFarland is he's gotten around Connor Acatella, and next up on his list is Edward Gorman on this recovery drive. We look back to Nate Kerr. Kerr getting passed by Brian Perez. Perez up to 9th in class. He is up 7 positions since the start of this race, but Kerr got a good run out of the keyhole, so down to turn 4, these two are going to go at it. And looks like Perez is going to be able to snake by there. So we'll look back to the front of the Delta class. Brian Saab has worked his way around Evan Clavijo. Adrian Fedorowski has done the same, and Jason Breen. So something's happened between this group, and it has shaken up the Delta class a little. So now the podium is Kramer, Breen, Fedorowski. Fedorowski, as he's gotten ahead a couple of these guys, he's now looking for Delta P2, for Delta P1. Justin Rhodes and Ethan Bass still going at it. These two are inseparable. And into the carousel, Bass goes a little deep, but he closes the hole before Rhodes can get back into it. And he pulls away. Back to the front. Bobby, Hendricks, McKenzie, De Almeida. This group has not changed at all. A lot of the fighting happening further back in the field. While at the front, everyone is taking their time and maybe not even able to really get close enough to pull off these moves. Matthew Mayer, speaking of moves, goes around 2 Delta drivers, Evan Clavijo, Brian Saab, on his recovery drive. At one point, he was as low as 27th. Now he's up to 18th. Clavijo's going to try and do something here into the braking zone. Saab covers him off. They now have a little Alpha car between them and the rest of the Delta class. I see Breen and Fedorowski, but Trenton Kramer has opened up a bit of a lead here. That is now a 2.2 second gap over Jason Breen, the number 20, setting some fast laps, looking for that first career victory. Look back to Kyle Murray. He's actually got his windshield wiper rolling. I think he's just turned it off. But he's looking at the back of Cooper Akers. And if you're wondering why a driver might have their windshield wipers going, you can just hear the amount of dust that he's running over that's getting kicked up by the cars ahead. Some of that inevitably ends up on your windshield. I see David Thomas just ahead of this group has slipped back behind. Ethan Bass is now between him and Justin Rhodes. And Mark Darnell trying to recover after that little 3-wide action he got involved in earlier. He's looking at the back of Kyle Murray as they head down to the keyhole. Fedorowski through the keyhole. He is following Matthew Mayer here. He's flashing him like, hey, let's go, man, let's go. He's going to get the bump draft pulled out. He's going to apply it firmly to the back bumper of the SRG car. He's going to flash him again. He's going to bump him again. And this is just one of the challenges that you face being in the lower class here. The points are shared. So he did just lose some points, losing that position to Matthew Mayer, but overall, he's hoping that Mayer, a car that's faster than him, gets up to Breen, gets up to Kramer, and kind of pulls him along with him. But right now, he's dealing with the fact that Mayer is not quite putting down the pace he wants him to, and he's trying to hurry him along a little bit. But I think Mayer now finding his footing. Look at this, up ahead, Mike D'Almeida is right on the back of Logan McKenzie, and further behind, Schink and Zepka are right on top of each other. I think they're dealing with a little bit of lap traffic. Hendricks has broken away and is within spitting distance of Gonzalo Fabi. We have just a couple of groups of cars here, running 2 by 2 by 2. And Jason Breen has let Matthew Mayer by there without letting Fedorowski by. And Francois Schink has gone ahead of Matt Zepka. The teammates swap into turn 4. Dan McFarland on the inside of Edward Gorman. A little bit of contact. It's going to be hard for McFarland to keep the nose in, but he's done it. And he will force Gorman off the apex here. This is really helping out Connor Ancatella as he closes right up to the back of this group. And this is the battle for 10th overall. And this is also the battle for the top 12 invert. Remember, the top 12 cars get inverted to start the next race. So these positions are very important. With 5 minutes to go, Ancatella sits in that transfer spot with Damon Mitchell and James Carr lurking in the background. And there is James Carr right there. And you see the Delta leader a good ways back from him. So I think of all the cars floating around that transfer spot, Mitchell and Carr have the best chance of getting in there. I think Connor Ancatella, oh, what just happened? The Delta leader went flying off at turn 1 in the background, and Jason Breen takes the Delta lead. Kramer testing his car to make sure that it still works. Does he have damage? How did that happen? He went so far off track. I think he may have gotten away without hitting anything. The car looks okay, but he's lost the lead of the race now. Jason Breen now in position to make this a back-to-back. Look back to Gorman. He's got McFarland right on the back of him. Holding on to that P10 and backing them up right into Damon Mitchell. We look to Francois Schink. He's slowly closing this gap to Logan McKenzie, to Mike D'Almeida. So there could be a small battle there for P4. It's not over yet. Schink always has great pace here. He's a 2-time winner here. Knows the track like the back of his hand. I see Mark Darnell has gone off track. This is at the entrance to Thunder Valley. And he's just trying to rejoin safely now. Drags a good bit of gravel and grass onto the track. Now Lewis Gilbert going around Nicholas Lacoste. He is through to 15th in class. Back to Edward Gorman. He's defending against McFarland again here into the keyhole. McFarland's got a nice over-under happening here. This will be the best chance he's had at Gorman. Gorman went wide on exit of the keyhole. So this is the SRG driver's best opportunity yet. Side by side down to turn 4. Acatella looking for an opening if one of these guys makes a mistake. Gorman trying to hang it around the outside, but McFarland's able to close him off into the top 10 for the 23. The 26? The 20, usually the 23. And Trenton Kramer has gone off track again, I think. And that has allowed a couple more cars to go by him. He now sits P6 in the Delta class. Brian Saab is P2, Clavijo P3. They are over a second and a half off of leader Jason Breen now. This is Breen's race to lose. Those back-to-back wins. It's looking more and more likely for the SRG driver. Look a little further back to Brian Perez, looking up the inside of Mark Darnell. Can't do anything there. And they will come through the carousel with Perez running 10th in class, 30th overall. Trying to hunt down Mark Darnell on track. Michael Polasek is coming through the middle part of the track now. I'm not sure. We might be on the white flag. Are they waving the white flag? Let's take a look. They are not. So Polasek will get the white flag this time by 1 minute before the 20-minute mark. And I say, what a way. If this is how he's going to do it, what a way to get your first victory of the season. Put it on pole and then just check out. Over 6 seconds on Fabi since the start of this race, and Fabi has not been under a whole lot of pressure. This is raw pace that he is beating everyone over the head with. And there is the white flag. 1 lap to go here at Mid-Ohio for the first race of the day. We look back to the battle for the invert. Edward Gorman and Connor Acatella trying to fend off Damon Mitchell and James Carr behind. All of them know that this is supremely important driving that they are about to do. This last lap starts now for them. You see in the background Matthew Mayer just too far off to be a part of that battle. And his teammate will get into the invert. Here they come down to the keyhole. Gorman's got a decent gap on Acatella. Mitchell still a good ways back from Acatella. If he can't do anything in turn 4, then it will be Acatella's position to lose. Jason Breen still holds a good lead in the Delta class. Michael Polasek coming through Thunder Valley now. It's been a long time since the last time Polasek stood in victory lane. He'll be very happy to have finally accomplished it this season, and not a moment too soon. He is still well within range of this championship battle. This will be a huge boon to his points total. Polasek off the final corner. He wins at Mid-Ohio. A first career victory at Mid-Ohio for Polasek. Bobby P2, Hendricks P3, and then Jason Breen through the final couple corners. He drove beautifully at Phillip Island to keep it clean, on track, and bring home the victory. He's going to do it again. Back-to-back Delta victories for Jason Breen for SRG off the final corner. He wins at Mid-Ohio. Brian Saab P2, Evan Clavijo P3. And the invert, Damon Mitchell finishes P12. He got around Connor Acatella on the final lap, so he will be your pole sitter for the 30-minute race. Still a couple of guys coming across the line, but I think for the most part, we are done here at Mid-Ohio. There's Tyler Bramble, there's Fuad Rijla. Over 24 minutes of racing done. One more race to go. The top 12 will invert, and then we'll get 30 more minutes here at Mid-Ohio. Stay tuned. Well, we are back and ready for 30 more minutes of high-octane racing here at Mid-Ohio. Damon Mitchell will lead us off. He does not yet have a career victory in the Alpha Touring Challenge. Alongside him, Edward Gorman. Behind, Dan McFarland and John Lazan. We are less than 10 seconds away from the start of the second race of the day. And now we await the green flag. And there it is. Damon Mitchell will lead us off here at Mid-Ohio for race 2 of the day. And already people getting dicey back there as they head into turn 1 looking for position. Mitchell leads, Gorman second, McFarland, Lazan, and Smith. And now here they come to the keyhole for the first time today. Mitchell defending on the inside with Gorman running around the outside. You see Shink sitting up the inside of Fleet Smith there. You have McKenzie and Mike D'Almeida battling on the exit of the keyhole. Here they come through the backstretch. Gorman looking for a move on Mitchell as they head down to turn 4. Everyone playing a little bit of defense. Here they come into the first heavy braking zone of the race. Mitchell stays ahead, but McFarland's put a nose up the inside of Edward Gorman. And there goes Brian Perez. He has spun off onto China Beach. And Kyle Murray gets a little spin there as well. So here they come through the S's. Mitchell leads with a decent gap. Gorman and Lazan battling side by side there as they head to Thunder Valley. Groups all battling it out now into the final chicane. A little bit of contact between Lazan and Gorman, and they're going to go 3 wide through the carousel. Shink gets slipped outside. Oh, Mike D'Almeida gets sideways. Gorman gets out of the 3 wide ahead. Then Lazan, then Shink. Shink's gone around Fleet Smith. Now Smith under pressure from Logan McKenzie. Lazan's going to hold the inside there against Shink, trying to cover him off, but he doesn't manage to do it, so they're going to be 2 by 2 for 4th, for 6th. McKenzie going a little off track there. They may be 3 wide back there. I see Bobby and Mayer and Polasek all going at it. Polasek's has lost spots since the start of the race. He's down in 13th, and he's got a lot happening in front of him. That is Matthew Mayer that we are looking at on the inside of Matt Zepka. Polasek trying to make it 3 wide. Zepka goes really wide to avoid that. Mayer gets through, and Polasek may have just gotten around Zepka there. And just behind, in the battle for the Delta lead, Trenton Kramer trying to take a hold of a second chance here. Oh, he's actually been touched there by Ethan Bass. He manages to save it. What a catch! And Jason Green will lead the Delta class. Trenton Kramer is only 2 spots behind him, and then you have JB DeJay in 3rd. And Michael Polasek, he's gone wide there, and he will slip all the way back to 15th now. He goes wide just before the final carousel. I saw some car going wide. It ended up being our winner from the first race. Micah Hendricks and Mike D'Almeida side by side into turn 1. Hendricks is ahead, and Bobby is behind. That guy is Mike D'Almeida. He's sandwiched between 2 very fast cars. Bobby going wide, hits the cone. And that cone has been hit and replaced so many times. Dan McFarland has made his way around Damon Mitchell now, and in the battle for the lead, it is McFarland ahead. So we are just under 4 minutes into this race. And McFarland right now defending Mitchell, looking for a route in, but can't find it. So we look to the battle for the Delta lead. Trenton Kramer on the inside of Jason Breen, tucks back in behind for turn 4. And then we look a little further back. I see David Thomas. I see Justin Rhodes and Tianyi Chang come together. And Chang's going to go a little wide there. Manages to stay on track. And all of these cars are now stacked up behind Chang. I see Brian Saab and Manuel Saralegui. Saralegui all the way down in 30th after his first race incident. Trying to make his way back to the field in this one. And you see him working on Brian Saab here. And as they enter Thunder Valley, he is going to finish, maybe not finish that pass. Look at that, Saab stays in there. Excuse me, that's Anthony Harrison. I'm getting the 4OG drivers confused. Anthony Harrison also had a fun incident in race 1. He got a little more airborne than Saralegui. If we want to talk about Brian Saab, he's back here in this huge battle. Saab putting the bumper to Fuad Al-Rijla. Oh, a little shove. Honegger gets collected. Rijla goes left, Honegger goes right, and Saab splits the middle. That was something. We look to Evan Clavijo, 6th place in Delta class. He is behind Justin Rhodes right now. He's trying to chase down Nate Kerr. Kerr is running 5th in class, and these two are a little separated from the rest of the top 4. Top 4 being Jason Breen, Trenton Kramer, JB DeJay, and Daniel Cedeno. Michael Polasek starting his recovery drive from 15th now. He makes his way around James Carr in turn 4, but Carr's going to hang it around the outside here. Oh, Ethan Bass. He keeps it collected, slots in front of the Delta leader, and that allows Trenton Kramer to slip into lead of the class. And now he goes around Ethan Bass. Beautiful driving from the 20, and he is into the Delta lead. And Jason Breen's gonna be hitting himself over the head with that one, wondering how did that happen. But now Bass going around the right side here. This is not over. Into the carousel. Kramer's going to be at a disadvantage. He may want to just tuck in here to keep Breen behind him, and he does. So this is the battle for 16th overall, by the way. So these are good points these guys are fighting for. We look back up front to John Lazon. He's under pressure from Logan McKenzie. McKenzie going to the left side here. Up ahead, you see Schink is working on Edward Gorman. Schink has a lot of pace, and he has been set. He's ahead of quite a few fast drivers here. He's only got Gorman, Mitchell, McFarland ahead. Now, McFarland's already opened up a 1.5 second gap over Mitchell, so we may see another leader sort of depart here. Oh, McKenzie going hard at the inside of Lazon, getting contact at the apex, but I think McKenzie's going to stay ahead. That has dealt some front end damage to Lazon's car. We look back here, and I see Justin Rhodes has gone off. Damage. Evan Clavijo has damage. Both of them may have come together on the back straight. And now, oh, that's going to cause a little bit of contact there. Clavijo gets hit by Anthony Harrison and Tianyi Chang coming together. Now Harrison's going to box Chang out, and as they come through curve 7, more contact. Harrison gets sideways, stays ahead of Chang. Here comes Kyle Murray now. Murray up the inside of Chang, but has to back out, and Mitchell Rickmeyer sitting back there looking for some space. Jumping just ahead, Lewis Gilbert. He's running 6th in class now, just ahead of Manuel Saralegui. The top 4 in the Delta class remains unchanged. Kramer, Breen, DeJay, Cedeno. The top 3 are all right there on your screen, chasing Ethan Bass. Up ahead, I see Gonzalo Fabi on the inside of Matthew Mayer. Tucks in for the keyhole. We'll go back to Saralegui and Gilbert. Also approaching the keyhole with Saralegui on the outside. It's tough to go around the outside. There's not a whole lot of grip, and yes, you can get a good run off the corner with an over-under, but not as good as you would think. However, Saralegui has definitely managed to get some advantage here. He had to kind of get out of the way of hitting Gilbert there, and it may have run him out of the momentum he had. So we look at David Thomas. He's ahead of Cooper Akers there, and will stay ahead of Cooper Akers. So How about a little further up in the field? Gorman has been got by Francois Schenck. So Schenk's up into the podium places. Now, Gorman has McKenzie, Lazan, and Smith running behind him. And they're all still pretty stacked up back there. Dan McFarland, half a second faster than Damon Mitchell on that last lap. 2.4, 2.3 second lead now. About 1/3 of the way through the race. And I see, looks like Brian Perez has gone off again. Adrian Fedorowski has some heavy damage to that car. Ethan Bass still has the entire lead of the Delta class stacked right up behind him. And Trenton Kramer's thinking, bump draft? How about I just pass you? Looking to the left as they head to Keyhole. Kramer a bit deeper on the brakes. Can he keep it on track? He's going to bring it back around. Will he have the momentum? I think he wasn't able to quite get to the apex. So he will stay behind Bass. It's a tough spot for him because he is that Delta driver caught behind an Alpha driver that just isn't quite quick enough to allow him to open the gap to the other Delta drivers. Jason Green and JB DeJay are all over the back of him here. We'll look back to Edward Gorman. He now has McKenzie working his back bumper. You know McKenzie will want to get through here quickly, just like Schenck did. Otherwise, these guys, everyone risks losing touch with McFarland, Mitchell, and Schenck. If anyone wants a podium, they're going to have to get around Edward Gorman. See Lazan still carrying the front end damage from the contact with McKenzie. And on to the front straightaway. McKenzie has a look and tucks back in. So we look to Anthony Harrison. He is still working through this field. He's caught to the back of Lewis Gilbert now. Is Gorman going to be under pressure from McKenzie into turn 2? McKenzie sends it up the inside. Leans on him a little. And as they hit the apex, Gorman putting a foot in the grass, but he is still alongside McKenzie. This one's not over yet. We'll go on board with John Lazan. And Gorman is not able to stay alongside. McKenzie will stay a car length over, a slight defense, making sure Gorman stays back there, and Gorman does not lose the position to Lazan. So Lazan and the others are still going to be stacked up behind him a little. You see Smith is having to deal with Mike D'Almeida, looking for space back there. You have Micah Hendricks, Gonzalo Fabi, Matthew Mayer, and then all the way back here, you still have Michael Polasek running behind Zepka. So he has been stacked up. Our first race winner, really the invert causing him to struggle to get back up front. And a lot of these fast guys are. I mean, Fabi and Hendricks are both also stuck back there. So now the field is sort of set. Getting these passes done is quite difficult. Now, Fabi looks like, he was looking for a move on Hendricks through the carousel, but couldn't get anything going, and he lost some momentum. So now Matthew Mayer looking to the left side, but Fabi shuts him down as they head to turn 1. So we look back to the Delta leaders. Green is right on the back bumper of Kramer still, and really no reason to rush this. You've got a lot of time left in this race to figure something out, and you've also got DeJay behind you, so you don't want to make any unforced errors. Michael Polasek has just gone around Matt Zepka for P12, so he is back where he started in this race. Damon Mitchell now under heavy pressure from Francois Schenck in the battle for second place. Schenk's going to send it up the inside of turn 4, but he can't get the nose in. Mike D'Almeida under pressure from Hendricks, but Hendricks goes wide in turn 4. That exposes him to Fabi. And Fabi's in a good position here now. I think he may be able to get by. And he will. But now Mayer's going to try and get involved. Does not manage to keep the nose in on Hendricks, though. And these cars are all stacked right up against each other. Hendricks makes contact with Fabi, but nothing really happens other than Hendricks getting slowed down. Now you have Polasek using this as an advantage to go around Mayer. And he finishes that pass. Looks like they may have calmed down now as Mayer slots in behind. We look back up front. Damon Mitchell still holding off Francois Schenck. Dan McFarland well on his way to his third career victory in the series. A 4.3 second gap now. We haven't even looked at him. There's been so much other stuff going on. Mitchell heads into the keyhole, still holding on to P2 for the moment. We look back to Eric Coons and Evan Clavijo battling for 16th. They were just alongside, but Clavijo has pulled ahead. Jason Green has gotten ahead of Trenton Kramer, and Kramer now under some pressure from JB DeJay. We look back up front to Damon Mitchell, and Mitchell and Schinker now under pressure from McKenzie, so this is going to get spicy. 3 cars, 2 podium spots. You have Gorman, Lazan, and Smith lurking in the background if anything happens to this group as we hit the halfway point in this race. 15 minutes in, 15 minutes to go. And McKenzie looking to the right side of Francois Schenck. Very difficult to do anything using that line, though, and Schenck slots back ahead. That gives Mitchell a bit of breathing room. It brings Gorman right up to the back of McKenzie. They will continue. I thought it was Ethan Bass did go off track, but he managed to come back on safely. Look at this row of cars. All stacked up behind P2. I think nobody's really close enough to do anything into the keyhole on this lap. And so on exit, P2 all the way back to P13. There's a half second between each of those cars. Now Daniel Thomas, Daniel Sedano, David Thomas. David Thomas goes around Sedano. Darnell and Sarah Legge are going at it. And on exit of that corner, Sarah Legge's going to have him. Thomas is not fully around Sedano yet. And Sedano using that Audi power. And here comes Nate Kerr as well. And into turn 4, Thomas around the outside of Sedano. He will have that spot. Nate Kerr will not be able to follow him. Back up front. Schenck's gotten around Mitchell. And McKenzie's trying to follow him through. McKenzie and Mitchell side by side. Oh, this is going to be tight. Mitchell trying to keep Gorman behind him as well. And he does. That allows John Lazan. Oh, a little bit of contact. More contact on the straightaway between Gorman and Lazan. They are going at it. Elbows out. Off of turn 1, here comes Gorman. He's still alongside John Lazan. And into the corner, they swap. Lazan looking inside. Gorman defends back. Behind, it's 3 wide. Mike D'Almeida up the inside of Gonzalo Fabi, and Micah Hendricks just having to watch this unfold. Now he's got Michael Polasek running right behind him, and Matthew Mayer is giving him a shove. Here they go down to turn 4. You have Fabi on the left side of the track. Mike D'Almeida up the inside. And I think this is Fabi's best chance at getting around the yellow flag motorsport driver. A little bit of contact on corner exit, and Mike D'Almeida stays ahead. Michael Polasek shoves it up the inside of Hendricks, trying to find some room. Still can't get by. This is a massive traffic jam that these guys are all dealing with. And up ahead, McKenzie and Schenck. McKenzie trying that line again. This time he's kept the nose in. So through the carousel, this could be a good look for McKenzie. And he does get ahead of Francois. Francois and Mitchell come together. Still coming together on corner exit. Mitchell first out to the very edge of the track. That allows Gorman to go back through, and now he's up the inside of Francois Schenck, and Edward Gorman is back on the podium. Oh no, contact, heavy contact, Mitchell into the wall, he collects his teammate Micah Hendricks. Hendricks with damage. Fabi had to go crazy off track to avoid that one. It looks like It looks like Hendrick's car is broken. He is skating with the left rear has dropped to the ground. Schink has even more damage now. He's back behind his teammate, heading down to turn 4. It's 3 wide again. Mike D'Almeida and Gonzalo Fabi. A little bit of contact there. More contact. D'Almeida's going to lose out to Polasek and Fabi. Now it is those two battling for position. Polasek has worked his way up to 6th through all that carnage. He must have gained 5 spots in 1 lap after everything that happened. And a lot did happen. And while the Alpha class is going crazy, we look back to the Delta class. Jason Breen, class leader, going by the limping car of Micah Hendricks, and here comes JB DeJay and Trenton Kramer chasing him. Jason Breen currently going for the three-peat, the 3 in a row in the Delta class. He won at Phillip Island and he won the first race today. If he wins today, that would be very impressive. He'd be the first Delta driver to do that so far this season. Look at Micah Hendricks really wheeling that thing to get it back to pit lane. We look back to Gonzalo Fabi. See a couple more cars going wide there. Logan McKenzie has also checked out, but I do not think within the last 10 minutes of this race he will be catching Dan McFarland. McFarland, this is the first time we've looked at him in a long time, since the start of the race. And we're going to wait and see how long it takes for Logan to appear. There he is, all the way back there. He's just barely in the camera shot. McFarland has a 7.2 second lead. That's larger than Polasek's was 20 minutes into the last race. Oh, and Trenton Kramer has run into trouble, chasing down the Delta lead. He is out of this race. He's got too much damage. What happened? He is going to have to retire, but I'm also missing JB DeJay. DeJay has heavy damage. So 2 of the Delta podium sitters are gone. And that makes Jason Breen's job even easier. Breen now has a nearly 10-second lead over Nate Kerr and Daniel Cedeno. The 3 in a row is very much looking on right now. Fleet Smith under pressure from Polasek through the carousel. Looked like he was going slowly through there, and Polasek took advantage. Now Polasek is trying to do the same to John Lazan. Smith and Fabi will go through turn 1 side by side. Fabi's been following Polasek through a lot of these moves since the field broke up a little bit. Now here they come down to the keyhole. Fabi on that preferred inside line. Mike D'Almeida working the outside of Matthew Mayer behind them. Fabi will go around. Mayer stays ahead. Now Zepka looking for a move on D'Almeida. We're looking backwards from Mayer's car. It looks like they're all going to slot back into position, but Polasek looking for a move on Lazan into the corner, doesn't get it. Zepka will look for a move on D'Almeida, but not able to stay there. His teammate Schink back in the mix right behind him. This group has been so tight the whole race, and it feels like they just had a giant wreck break them all apart a couple laps ago, but still mostly together as a group. We look back at Justin Rhodes and Brian Saab. Saab running 25th overall, 7th in class, looking for some more points. And Rick Meyer behind, looking for a way through if something happens. On board with Mitchell Rickmeyer. He's going to look to the right side here. Saab loses out a little bit, so they will go side by side. Rickmeyer trying to get into P7 in class. I think Saab's going to be able to stay ahead here for the moment. Lazan under more pressure from Polasek. Round keyhole. And will Polasek be able to keep the nose in? He will. So down the back straightaway, picking up a little bit of side draft for 4th place in the race. Both of them still have eyes on that final podium position. Edward Gorman is not that far ahead of them. Polasek has the advantage here. Round the outside. Fabi's going to follow him, and Lazon's in trouble. Lazon's in a lot of trouble. He's going to get a train run on him if he's not careful. Fleet Smith behind will also be looking for space. A little bit of contact between Lazon and Fabi through turn 7. They are staying neck and neck. Lazon now will have the advantage. And through into Thunder Valley, he gets back ahead, and Fleet Smith will follow him. Going defensive. They all stay stacked up. Oh, Smith into the grass a little bit. I thought he was getting a little sideways, but he manages to keep it together. Oh no, there goes John Lazon. I think he's picked up a drive-through. We will see if that's the case. We'll look back to his teammate, Fleet Smith. As they come around a car exiting pit lane. I believe that's another car serving some kind of penalty. Looking at Mike De Almeida going up the inside of this car, and that's the 00. I'm not sure who that is. That's Jake O'Shea. Hey, look at that. I believe Jake runs the iRacing official Discord. He's run with us before, back in seasons 3 and 4, so always good to see him make an appearance. It's a car I did not recognize, but I should have known. 00. Car looking to the right side of Schenk into turn 4. Oh, a little bit of contact. And he will eke ahead. Schenk not happy about that one. Schenk has been quite beat up during this race, I have to say. We'll check back in on the Delta leader, who is still running with Ethan Bass, has been this whole time. But as the cars have dropped like flies ahead, the Delta leader has slipped into 14th overall, so a lot of really good points on the line here. Less than 5 minutes to go. Nate Kerr and Daniel Cedeno run 11 seconds behind Breen. And they are currently looking pretty locked into those podium places. Tianyi Chang is another 3 or 4 seconds back from those guys. Looking back to James Carr and Francois Schenk and Connor Agatella. That's the battle for 10th. A little further ahead, you see Fabi holding off Mayer and De Almeida. Whoa, and there's some contact there. Zepka and Carr come together at the apex. And Schenk is letting even more displeasure be known there. He'll go to the right side of Zepka. That puts Carr up into 9th place. And Schenk will slot in ahead of Zepka with Connor Agatella watching all of this. We'll go on board with Agatella. This is a whole row. This is sort of the remaining pack of cars since the top 10 kind of blew up. And they're working their way around some lap traffic here. Oh no, there's contact. Big crash. That may have been a blue flag situation, and the Delta leader has been involved. Jason Breen with heavy damage to the front end of the car. I think it's broken. Oh no, I think it's broken. I think the three-peat is over. Just over 3 minutes to go. Here comes Nate Kerr in the background. Breen will have to pit. His right front tire is not pointing the right direction. I guess he doesn't have to pit. There's less than 3 laps left. He doesn't have to serve a meatball if he's got it. But Nate Kerr is only 3 seconds back on board with Kerr. Look at this. There's no contest. Nate Kerr takes the Delta lead. And he does have a Delta victory this season. I think it was at Phoenix Raceway. So he's looking for his second win. And off of Keyhole, Daniel Cedeno is going to go around. Tianyi Chang will enter onto the Delta podium. And Michael Polasek has gotten around through all that carnage. He got around Edward Gorman. And oh my God, we checked in just in time to see Smith and Fabi going at it. Oh, Oh, Smith's not happy with him. Tries to pinch him down. Still not happy with him. But Bobby does get into 5th. So Polasek on that podium, final podium spot, 2.7 seconds ahead of Gorman. Dan McFarland has taken the white flag. 1 lap to go here at Mid-Ohio. Logan McKenzie has made no inroads on that gap. They've been running essentially the same lap times. So for McFarland, that 3rd career victory looks on. Not only will it be a 3rd career victory, but McFarland, for the first time in his career, is still very much within the championship fight this late in the season. There is still a lot of racing to be done. This is only round 5 of 11, and this win for McFarland will be huge. It will also be huge for Sim Racing Grid. They still lead the team championship, and after today, I think they will continue to lead it. So that team, this driver, a lot of expectations being placed on his shoulders all of a sudden. Today, he has coped beautifully. A troubling first race, but second race, it's been flawless. Flag to flag for Dan McFarland as he comes through the carousel. Dan McFarland off the final corner. He will win at Mid-Ohio. And we will wait 7 full seconds for Logan McKenzie to come across P2 and Michael Polasek to round out the podium. Gorman just stays ahead of Bobby. Then you have Smith, Mayer, Diamita. Then you have Ethan Bass coming soon. And here is your Delta leader, Nate Kerr. He was in 5th place at one point. They just dropped like flies in front of him. And now he will pick up another career Delta victory at Mid-Ohio across the line. For the Bearcat Motorsports driver, it is a win at Mid-Ohio. Daniel Cedeno, P2, and Tianyi Cheng, P3. And the rest of the drivers coming across the line now. See Connor Acatella there, Jason Lynn, Evan Clavijo. This race is over. Polasek, P3, McKenzie, P2, McFarland, P1. And what a win for him it was. That is by far the most dominating victory he has ever secured in his career. Well deserved. Well, that will do it from here at Mid-Ohio. That was a messy 2 races. This track certainly encourages drivers to get their elbows out to get those positions, and get their elbows out they certainly did. McFarland wins race 2. Michael Polasek wins race 1. Both first-time winners this season. Always great to see. And for Nate Kerr, another victory for him, and that will help him out in those Delta Championship standings. He's not out of this one. And those championship standings, we will look at those in a minute. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you, everyone, for watching another amazing production here at the Alpha Touring Challenge. Next week, we head to Virginia International Raceway Grand for a 60-minute race. We hope to see you there. Thank you for watching, and have a good night.